For today, I'm going to cover in our moment of learning, I'm kind of continuing on with the myth busting or whatever you want to say for Christmas things of things around that. So I'm going to have a pop quiz. I'm actually going to ask you to help me out here. You don't have to if you don't want to, but just like with show of hands and so forth. According to the Bible, how many wise men or kings were there at Jesus' birth? And that term is used, wise men or kings. So okay, I'm going to give you some choices. Were there three? Who thinks there were three? Okay. Who thinks there was one? Who thinks there was just more than one? Who thinks there were none? And who thinks it's undetermined? All right. Well, there's reasons for each one of these, but I will tell you what I think it is. First of all, we know that there was more than one because there's a plural. There's more than one wise men because it's plural there. And we would see in the text that there's three gifts. And so a lot of times that gets, of course, and we have this song, the three kings of Orient are. They probably weren't of the Orient. They probably weren't three, all those sorts of things. So that kind of reinforces that concept of three. You hear that a lot. And I know a lot of you have heard this before. I just wanted to think through it a little bit. But it's also not clear whether or not, it could have been that each one of them brought several gifts. It's not clear the way it's presented. It's not that each one had just one only gift. It could be a lot of things. But the biggest clue that we would see as we read through the Bible, the clue in the text basically says that they tell Herod at the exact time that the star would appear. And in response, hoping to kind of, as a broad net to catch and kill Jesus, he commands the forces to kill every child under 2. And so his understanding of when Jesus was born is based on what these magi, these wise men had said. The answer is we actually don't know how many wise men there were, but we know there were none there at Jesus' birth. They hadn't made the trip yet. The star appeared when they were there. We see the nativity scene, and I don't think it's such a terrible thing to have the wise men there at the nativity scene. I'm not one of these people who says, we have to have it be authentic. Well, then it probably wasn't in a shed like that and those sorts of things. It's more representative. But the answer to the question is that, I'll cover a few things. Did I cover all of these things? I did. Well, I want to mention one other thing, that the wise men most likely were from Persia or southern Arabia, or likely a reasonable distance away as they have to travel and get there. And the magi is probably a word that I would use more often than kings or wise men. It's been translated different ways. I think most definitely it shouldn't be kings. Wise men is a good way to be able to do that. Magi, as I'll explain later when I'm preaching what that comes from. Magi is a good word for that. But as I said, I think the biggest clue is their interaction with Herod and his response to that, to be able to, there were no wise men, there were no magi at Jesus' birth. However, there was a king there. It was Jesus. So, the only king there was Jesus. So, that's our one for today.